Okay, hi everyone. I want to welcome everyone to the Stress-Free Systems Summer School because systems are awesome, but sometimes they're a pain in the ass to create. Our expert teachers are going to help you all summer long to create some workable systems so you're able to reduce your stress, free up some time, and make your life a little bit more enjoyable. I'm Jess, and I'm a systems expert myself. I'm Julie's assistant here at Business Guided by Nature. If you're one of our clients or part of the Redwood Circle, we've most likely met, but if you're new to either Julie or I, it's very nice to meet you. For those of you that don't know Julie, she's currently on maternity leave, and she helps hardworking coaches, consultants, and healers grow rooted, blossoming, and burnout-free businesses modeled after the way that nature works. Julie's a firm believer that if we step off the obsessive productivity hamster wheel and tune into nature's rhythms, we're able to grow more sustainable lives, businesses, and even a better world. Creating workable, usable, stress-free systems is really a key part of this whole vision. So Julia created this program so you could learn more skills and tools this summer to better systematize your business. Super important. All the systems that we always say that we're going to create, we're going to carve out some time this summer because while it takes a little bit of effort to set up, it's totally worth it. I want to give a couple technical notes and then we'll get going. Our guest speaker is going to teach for about 40 minutes or so and then answer any questions, and you can put questions into the chat at any time. If we don't get to them during the talk, we'll get to them after. If you're not familiar with Zoom, if you hover over the Zoom screen, a little bar will show up, and then down on the bottom you will see a spot for chat. So today we're very excited to bring you how to hire a virtual assistant of your own. And I am going to be your teacher today. I'm Jessica Sala-Bonin from Sala Social Marketing. I have been working as a virtual assistant for 7 years this week, actually. I'm super excited to be celebrating my anniversary of my business. I help business owners do all sorts of things from web design to graphic design, content writing, social media marketing, creating systems and strategies that we've been talking about through all these different sorts of sessions, putting together automation, really anything that I can do to make business owners' lives easier. I work mainly with solopreneurs and small business owners, some locally and others on the other side of the world. So we are going to get started. If you just give me one moment to get all my stuff queued up. Okay, so today we are going to talk about how to hire the perfect VA in 7 easy steps. The first thing about working with a VA that you really need to figure out is determining the kind of help you need. A lot of times people will hear virtual assistant and they really don't hear the virtual, but they hear the assistant. So if you're looking for somebody that can pick up your dry cleaning or drop your daughter off snack at soccer, a virtual assistant isn't what you're looking for. You need an in real life assistant that's there locally in your area that can help you with business tasks, personal tasks that need to be done in person. A virtual assistant is someone that's going to be able to help you digitally, someone that can help you with a lot of the things that I mentioned, doing different things on your website, creating different graphics, social media marketing, that sort of thing. So really that's first determining that you do need a virtual assistant, not someone that's around in real life. So then it's really kind of determining the type of virtual assistant that you need and what's going to work best for your needs and your business, because there are a lot of different types of virtual assistants out there. 4 of the main types are freelancers, agencies, just a regular plain old virtual assistant, and the hybrid model. So we're going to talk a little bit more about all those in details. Freelancer is going to be someone who's a genuine expert, someone that you're going to probably hire to handle a one-off sort of project. When you don't have the resources to do it yourself, you may not have the know-how, you may not have the time. So freelancers are generally more of something that's specialized. So someone that may do just graphic design if you have something that needs really heavy Photoshop work. You may have someone, if you're developing an app or something like that, you could work with a freelancer that does app developments. These are not more general kind of VAs, the type of VAs that can help you like with your marketing, management of emails and that sort of thing. These are people that are going to be specialized into something that requires just a little bit more. So then we have the regular plain old assistant. While VAs are usually freelancers, freelancers are not always VAs. I know it can be a little confusing, but freelancers really tend to do one thing specialized, where virtual assistants are people that can offer you lots of different services. People that, you know, come to you with a laundry list of different things that you need to be done. This is something that you would contract out to a virtual assistant. We tend to be a little bit more general in the work we do. We may do a little bit of social media management one day be managing your email box. So virtual assistants are somebody that goes much more under a general sort of umbrella of the type of administrative, marketing, and graphic tasks that they can help you with. So then an agency is really designed to put everything from strategy to implementation, everything under one roof, and this is going to be managed by someone on the outside. They're going to be doing more big projects for big companies, corporate. You're going to think of like PR agencies, that sort of thing. These are going to be people that are working with large brands like Coca-Cola and Apple and people like that. So a lot of us smaller solopreneurs aren't going to really go for the agency. That's kind of somebody that's out there for the big fish. But you may come across a hybrid model from time to time. A hybrid model is something that's really cool. It's actually an agency of virtual assistants. This is in my business model where I work to be at some point, having a large team of virtual assistants or freelancers that may be specialized in one certain thing. Not really so much talking about like online platform like Upwork, which you may have heard of, which is a place that you can look out for hired help, and Fiverr. That was another one. But this is an actual agency where there's accountability and backup support, something very similar to a web development agency, a public relations agency, a marketing agency. The goal of a hybrid model is to really get the skills and dedication of a virtual assistant, but with systems, processes, additional support that you have of an agency. So something else that you may come across in your search for a VA. So if you really are looking for a virtual assistant, where do you get started? There's so many different places that you can go. I just mentioned some of them: Upwork, Fiverr. Really, a good place to start is Google. I'm just joking. So there's some good places that you can look for VAs. You can look for companies that are going to be able to connect you. You can reach out on social media. Social media, is, we all know, is a great place to connect with people and get recommendations for things. Everybody seems to know somebody nowadays. So if you're really connected in with business owners and you have friends that work in business, you most likely know somebody that has a VA or is working with a VA that might be able to recommend you. You can check out the remote job boards like the ones that I talked about, using Upwork, using Fiverr. And also asking friends kind of goes hand in hand with the social media, but the word of mouth is a huge thing. I do 100% of my business by referrals. I don't ever market for myself. I am blessed enough and lucky enough that I have a lot of really good clients that refer me out to others. So always ask, because you most likely know somebody that has a VA or knows a VA and can connect you with somebody. Another good place to check social media wise too is there's a lot of virtual assistant groups available on LinkedIn and on Facebook. Some of them are the Virtual Assistant Tribe, VA Savvies. A lot of times you can find not only virtual assistants that are going to do the general work of VA work in there, but you'll also find freelancers that are more specialized. Maybe you don't have the need for a VA at the moment, but you have a one-off project that isn't something that's in your task list or in your skill set, and you just need to hire one time for outside help. So those groups are another really great place, and they're full of really skilled VAs from all over the world, all different price points, that can really help you with a lot of different projects. So finding a company that's going to connect you, there's a lot of different virtual assistant companies out there. They do charge a little bit of a higher fee because it's just like using kind of like a temp service or an agency like that. It's how they make their money. But you can look out there on Google. There's some different reputable ones. Just make sure that you're always doing your due diligence and homework when you're looking into someone. Look at reviews, other people's past scenarios and experiences. Again, scouring social media is going to be a great place to look. In addition to looking on the groups, another great place that you can post is on Craigslist. I know a lot of virtual assistants that do marketing and look for leads do go there, so it's a good place to get connected as well. You can also check Twitter hashtags, Instagram hashtags for things like virtual assisting, virtual assistant, remote workers, that sort of thing. The same thing, you can post your position on remote job boards, Upwork, Fiverr, any of them have good leads. The same thing with working with kind of an agency to help you find someone. That you're going to find here is that this is how they make their money. They take a cut out of it, so you do want to take a look at that. And just really with Upwork, you want to just really be reading people's reviews. And the same thing about asking your friends, reach out to people. People always know people, so we're gonna be able to connect with others. So once you find someone that you think is gonna be a good match for you, you're gonna be conducting your interview and reaching out and meeting them and trying to determine if they're the best VA. I think that this is really the most important step of hiring a VA. You really need to do a good interview process to find out who you're working with, who you're hiring. It's going to be almost like a first date. You kind of want to make sure that you're compatible. I can always tell when I'm on a discovery call with a client within the first 5 or 10 minutes or so if we're going to be well to work out together, kind of just from the vibe. It's really just a combination of gut intuition, people's body language, if they come prepared to a meeting with questions that they want to ask and their goals and their minds in sight. For me as a VA, those are people that I ideally want to work with. So in the same, you want to come to your interview prepared. What are you looking for in a VA? What are your pain points as a business owner? How can a VA help you? So it's really hard to be a good VA. You have to have a lot of different skills. Learning is easier than ever, and great VAs really take advantage of the world of knowledge that we're living in. So a lot of times you want to work with a VA that's going to be able to kind of be on their toes, and when you're interviewing in the interviewing process, be asking lots of questions about different systems that you're working in and that you're familiar in, kind of off the bat to be testing them and making sure that they do know their stuff and they do know what they're talking about and how to maneuver through different systems. And you really kind of want to look for good personality traits. You want to work with someone, that's not a drag to work with. It's always fun when we have a fun person on our team. And you really want to work with somebody that's knowledgeable. You want people who are able to answer your questions, and if not, people that are able to get out there and find you your answers. When I talk about personality traits, I'm not really referring to habits. A good VA, they could be an early riser or a night owl, or some of us are zombies. It doesn't matter as long as it works for you. When I'm talking about personality traits, I'm talking about the core values that really make up who they are. So in your interview process, also try to get to know your VA a little more personally out of the business side. This is going to kind of help you see if they're going to be a good match for you to work with. So some of the things that you may want to be looking for as far as character traits in a VA, you're going to want to look for somebody that's humble, somebody that has a neighborly attitude that, is looking to help, somebody that's going to be proactive in looking into things that you may not think of. A lot of VAs, we have a large skill set and we've seen a lot of stuff. In my 7 years, I have seen so many things. I have seen so many things that work incredibly well for my clients. I have seen things that fail terribly for my clients. So you're going to be wanting someone that's going to mention in their interview that they like to give feedback, that they're willing to strategize with you. I think a lot of times as solopreneurs and as small business owners, one of the things that we lack, especially as solopreneurs, is we lack the ability to have someone that we can turn around and say, hey, what do you think about this? Is this a good idea? I'm very lucky. My best friend is a virtual assistant and does what I do. So when I'm doing anything for my business wise, making changes to my website, doing copy, making a new flyer, anything like that, strategizing growth, I always reach out and talk to my friend because she has feedback for me. I can bounce my ideas off of her. So really kind of looking for someone that's going to be proactive in doing tasks for you, mentioning things that you may be missing, and giving you really good, important feedback into your ideas of how they may work, suggestions of things that you can do to improve, that sort of thing. So you'll definitely want to look for in the interview process people that bring this up and mention it, or even work this into your questions that you bring to your interview. Couple more things that you're going to want to look for as character traits in a VA. Somebody that's going to be reliable. You need somebody that's going to show up for you, that you know that you can depend on. I can't imagine and count the number of times that somebody has come to me upset, frustrated because a random assistant just kind of took off on them and left them high and dry, either before a huge launch or right in the middle of a website design or in a really important time in their business. So just really finding someone that's gonna stick by you and be there for you when you need them. And also an important part in that is when you're in the interview process is talking to people about like their hours. What is the best way to get in touch with them? Generally, a good VA or a good freelancer will bring this up as part of the conversation to you. But if they don't, ask those sorts of questions. What hours can I contact you? What's the best way to contact you? If my website goes down and I'm having an emergency, are you going to be right there and be able to fix it for me? If not, what do I do in that situation? And also, you know, can I get on the phone with you when I need to? Can I pick up the phone and give you a call? Can we hop on Zoom so that you're able to show me things like that? And also, I think really curiosity is another good thing to have as a trait in a VA. You're going to want to find someone that's always constantly looking to build their repertoire of skills, to be growing their knowledge base, adding new products, new services, new programs and new platforms as things come out. Because we live in a digital world that's constantly changing. Anyone that's on Facebook knows that things at Facebook change daily on a personal level, on a business level. You may go look for something on Facebook that was there yesterday functionality-wise, and it's not there today. So, you know, looking for someone that really has that level of curiosity and is always willing to kind of go that extra mile to research and always be on the top of their game of what's changing and what's going on in the industry. So when you're getting there and you've got profiled this perfect VA and you've got a list of potential resumes sitting there and you're getting into this interview process, you've got their materials, resumes, cover letters, their testimonials. This is going to really guide you in deciding whether they have the hard skills that you're going to need as a business owner. But you have to be able to match up those soft skills, the character skills, and the hard skills of programming, that sort of thing. The best thing that you're going to be able to do to match these up is to really arm yourself with the right questions in your interview. Doing a really good evaluation with different points is going to naturally eliminate anybody that doesn't fit into the mold of who you think your assistant is. So here's some really great questions, I think, that are to ask that are going to help you build that business understanding, that personal understanding, those core values, soft skills, and also those hard skills. First of all, what's your story? Have people tell you know who they are, where they come from, how did they get into this industry, what kind of knowledge and experience do they bring to the table from either past positions or in their current positions as freelancers and VAs. Very, 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 very important question to ask people. If they've ever worked remotely before, Working remotely, as we all know, as small business owners and solopreneurs, it's a totally different game than working in an office. There's distractions. My dog has to go outside. I've got a load of laundry that needs to be switched over. If you're interviewing someone that's never worked remotely before, just kind of keep in mind the different aspect of it. It takes a lot of discipline to be able to work remotely and to not be in an office. So if your candidates never work remotely, it might not be a deal breaker. It just opens up the floor for follow-up questions, and it gives you something to think about later when you're making your ultimate decision about who you're going to hire as your VA. And then another one is going to be to tell you about the time that somebody crushed it so hard at work that you decided to treat yourself when you got home. I think, hearing about people's wins and things that they've really done awesome and really done great is just a way to expand on their skill set. On the same token, finding out, having someone tell you about a time when they made a mistake. What happened and how did they handle it? Mistakes always happen. It's inevitable. We all make mistakes. Everyone, small business owners, VAs, regular secretaries working in offices, mistakes happen. So they're rarely a big deal, though, I've noticed. But you want to note how your candidate takes the lead when they answer this question. Did they note how they remedy it? Did they catch mistakes? Have them explain to you a little bit more of the feeling behind it. How long did it take for them to come forward if they made a mistake? It's going to help you understand more if they're honest, if they're open, if they're a good communicator. It will help you a little bit more with the reliability. It will help you figure out if they're proactive about finding solutions in the face of adversity. That's a very important skill as a VA. And it's also going to help you just give a general understanding of if someone's going to stand up and take responsibility when they make a mistake. I think it's always important to be able to stand up and say, you know what, yeah, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I will work towards steps to make sure that it doesn't happen again. But I think really just taking that ultimate responsibility of it is super important. Another great question. Let's say we start working together 1 year from now. What do you think I'd have to say about in a testimonial of you? I've actually had that question asked of me, and it was just a really good question. I think that it kind of gives VAs a platform to put it all out there, really. And again, with the fact that VAs should always be learning and exploring their skill set and building that skill set, you want to know what people are going to do to keep learning. So once you've gotten through the interview process and you found out a little bit more about your VA candidates, it's going to give you a better idea of who you're going to bring on to the next part of the VA hiring process, which is administrating a sample test. You kind of want to create a test product geared towards the work that you intend to assign. It's going to get you kind of like an opportunity to sample your VA merchandise. So different type of test projects, it's really going to depend on the type of assistant you're looking for. If you're looking for somebody that's going to be heavy doing copywriting for you, you're going to have them create a blog assignment, something like that. If you need a trip planned, you can have them plan a fake trip for you somewhere. You can have, if you're going to have them do graphic design, give them a test with a graphic design. So here's just some templates, and you can get these from my websites as well for some different sample test projects. For an executive assistant, researching some potential speaking gigs, compiling the research in a Google Sheet, then creating Asana tasks. When you're creating these project assignments for sample testing, make sure that you're including quite a few different parts of tasks. As in this one, you're going to see it has researching, but then compiling my research in a Google Doc or a Google Sheet, and then creating Asana tasks. So right there in this task, I've presented to my potential VA 3 different tasks: research, Asana, and Google Sheets. Another one could be a content marketing, assigning a blog post, writing the blog, editing it, and loading it into the website. Again, 3 different sorts of tasks all contained within one task. You'll be able to see your VA's copywriting skills. You'll be able to see their editing and proofreading skills, their attention to detail, and you're also going to be able to see them loading it into the website and their ability to work on your website. So administrating the sample test, when you get a test project back in hand, it's important to really be objective about what you're looking at. This is going to probably connect you with a VA that you love personally, but who disappoints you professionally if you don't do it this way. So it really defeats the purpose of doing a test in the first place. After you assign the work, you're going to put together kind of a rubric that you're going to score it against. So you're going to look at, was the project turned on in time? Was it complete? Did they follow your directions down to the exact T? Is the formatting how you like to receive work? Is it better than you hoped? Did they go the extra mile to surprise or delight you in the project? And what, if any, changes or edits do they have? Are they minor or major? You consider if the changes are things you could be tweaked or improved with a touch of constructive feedback. So you do want to do this with every sort of project that you work on. And again, you can get this stuff off of my website, but there's some different rubric that I've put together in scoring your test project, seeing if your test was turned on in time, and just a little bit of different color coding to remove them from recruitment if they move forward or not. So you can find this all there. You look at the formatting, as we talked about, the information. Did it require a lot of edits for tone, punctuation, grammar, that sort of thing? Just a lot of different sorts of things that we can put against. How did it measure against the sample assignment? Was it accurate? That's always important. So then once you've gone through and you've kind of looked at the sample project and totaled it up, you'll go ahead and put it through the scoring. Your reds, your yellows, and your greens, you'll add it up and look at the averages. I usually do that testers should have a 2.5 or higher to be considered eligible to move forward after I put them through this rubrics. So then once you found someone that you're ready to work with, your perfect VA, and you're ready to move forward and to make an offer, you're ready to do it. You want to talk to them about what their terms are. A lot of virtual assistants work on contract basis. So they're going to have specific rates and rules that they're looking for. You're going to want to be prepared to politely and thoughtfully negotiate an agreement that works best for the both of you. You're going to find out fair pay for your virtual assistant. Virtual assistants' price ranges can weigh totally different. Virtual assistants that work in the Philippines that are more general VAs that you may have to do a little bit more micromanaging and hand-holding of, can cost anywhere from $5 US and up. I've seen VAs that are very, very specialized that charge, $150 to $200 an hour. Those are people that are very, very specialized, much more into the freelancer sort of thing. But you want to consider your budget and the work that you want to be performed and really what's fair. And you want to be specific about what you're offering, how you're going to pay, if it's going to be hourly per project or whatever the case may be in the terms that you discuss and agree to. So you're going to want to have a written contract, most likely if you're going into a contract basis instead of a per diem. Some VAs do work in a per diem basis. I am a VA that works in a per diem basis. You'll want to write down in your contract services, duties, responsibilities of the assistant, your payment terms and your compensation, confidential agreements, any terms and termination. A lot of clients will present you with different disclosures. You may want to have that depending on what you're working with. If you're a doctor, a psychologist, a healer, someone that has access to confidential information, you're most likely going to want your VA to sign some sort of non-disclosure agreement, HIPAA forms if you're in the medical field. You're going to want to also talk about miscellaneous information, vacations, time off, the nature of the relationship. They're most likely going to be a contractor, but you may want to consider a part-time employment relationship depending on what your needs are and what your business setup is. So once you've found your virtual assistant soulmate, all you have to do is really dig in and support each other from now and on, forever and ever. It's really the last step of the hiring process, but it's really one of the most important ones because ongoing success between yourself and your assistant, it's something that never ends. So step 7 is something that you'll always be working on with your virtual assistant. Ongoing success for me as a VA, it means ongoing communication, feedback, support from both sides. Not only a virtual assistant or a freelancer supporting you, but you supporting your freelancer or virtual assistant as well. What I mean by that is giving your VA the most information. A lot of VAs are a lot of things. One thing that, while we're intuitive, one thing that we're not is we're not mind readers a lot of times. So you may say, I'd like to have blue on my website. There's a lot of different shades of blue. So when you're working with your VA and your communications, you always want to be able to be as specific as possible. Take into consideration that you might want to note that it's a turquoise blue that you're looking for, or a navy blue. Or if you're looking for something to be placed on your website, that you want it centered at the top of your homepage instead of just on your homepage. This is going to be particularly important when you first start working with a VA. As you go on and work with a VA over time, they're going to come to know you and kind of your style and what you look for, and you're going to come to know the things that they can kind of intuitively know, and the things that you should provide a little more information on. People that I've worked with for a long time, like Julie, I've been Julie's VA for going on a little, like 2 years. I've worked with Julie long enough now and enough that I know Julie very well. When Julie asks me to do something, for the most part, I know what exactly she is asking for. When Julie and I first started working together, it wasn't like that at all. Julie had to provide a little bit more information, like I'd like this colored green used, or I prefer photos that don't look like this, but photos that look like this. So don't get discouraged in the beginning that you may have to do a little more hand-holding, a little more just kind of getting to know you, getting to know the way that your VA works, and them getting to know your style and how you work and the things that you like in your branding. I think that that's just really one of the total most important steps. I find that clients that I'll have that work with me for a while and then kind of go by the wayside, or clients that I don't have that great working relationship with are the ones that are instantaneously expect you to know something without providing a little bit more information, especially in the beginning. So just keep in mind, the more info that you can give, the clearer that you can be in your instructions. It's always helpful. So there's some different processes that you're going to be able to put in place to ensure that you get started off on that right foot. You're going to want to share your preferences. Before you do anything else, you're going to want to set up a kickoff call with your VA. You're going to want to go out through all the ins and outs of your preferences. Do you want to talk to them by email, text? Do you want to talk to them on the phone? What's the best way for you to communicate? When you give a deadline, do you expect it to be met in the beginning of the day, midday, or by the end of the day? If I get a deadline that says I'd like this done by Wednesday, there's 24 hours in Wednesday. If you need it done Wednesday morning, let your VA know that. Do you want your assistant to be available off and on during business hours, or is it cool that they get their best work done at 3 a.m.? There's some days when it's really hot that I may be like, you know what, phooey, I'm gonna go to the beach today and I'm gonna work tonight. Is it a problem for you if your VA does something like that? You want to share these things over the phone. You want to be follow up by putting them in a shared document that you can reference whenever you need to, kind of like a standard operating procedure for working with your VA, or a VA, kind of just a VA preference document. You're also going to want to look at these preferences occasionally, because everything changes in business. We all know that. It's really fluid owning your own business. So what was working with your VA might not be working now. You know, maybe 6 months ago, email was your best communication, but your business has grown so much that now you're getting 500 emails a day and your VA's emails are getting lost. So you may want to set up some sort of project management system like Asana, or you may just want them to reach out and call you when they need to. So you'll just want to every once in a while kind of take a look at those preferences. Another thing that I think is awesome is having a weekly meeting with your VA. I do this with lots of my clients that I work with on a daily basis regularly, usually people that I work with over 10 hours a week or so. You know, this is just a really great way to manage that relationship, making sure that nothing's getting missed, coming to that weekly meeting with an agenda of tasks that you may have in mind for your VA, and hoping and, you know, working with your VA to let them know that your expectation is that they come with an agenda of tasks that they've been working on throughout that process and things that they may need. It's also another great time to request feedback, to use it as a strategy session, really just kind of to touch base. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. You don't have to meet for an hour. I have clients that I'll hop on the phone with for just a quick 15-minute check-in call. Just nice to touch base and say hello. Another thing is going to be project management tools, as I mentioned a minute ago, Asana, Trello, something like that. This is another way that's, you know, great to manage your relationship with your VA. If you're someone that has a heavy email load and you see that, you know, things get lost or moved around in your email a lot, you should probably talk to your VA about that, but in managing it for you. But they may find that Asana is a better system, or something where you can actually manage your projects in and see just kind of like a good snapshot of what different things have been working on. And then emergency procedures, that is very important. I have one client who I love dearly, who has no children, has no husband. I have an emergency plan with her, not only personally, but professionally. If anything should ever happen to her, this is what needs to happen in her business. If she should go into the hospital, or something should happen, if she should get sick, this is our emergency plan and procedure. So when you get to that level of trust of being able to have that reliability with your VA, you want to have that emergency procedure in place for them. Again, you want to note your work style preferences for your VA, some different sample questions to communicate your preferences. What would you like your VA to call you? Do you want your VA to be in contact with anybody else from your team? I work in some teams that are large, 6-people teams. There's some people that I talk to regularly on Teams. There's some people that I never communicate with on Teams. So you want to kind of set that up. And if so, you want to include email addresses, phone numbers, ways for them to be in communications. Something that we never think about, what's your physical mailing address? Always just something to cover your behind. You do want to know where someone is if it's not included in their contract. Some other things that are always nice to know about your VA: when is your birthday? What's your preferred communication method for day-to-day business? How can I get in touch with you as an urgent situation? Should I call you? Should I text you? Should I email you with urgent in the subject line? What types of project management tools do you currently use? Are you familiar with? What sort of schedule do you normally keep for your work? When are you expecting to be available? How do you prefer your VA helps you to keep things moving along? And when do you usually find yourself working? Some other things that they may be asking and that you may want to have been prepared. Knowing what platform your website is hosted on, having that sort of information, passwords handy. I get a lot of times, I do a lot of back and forth with clients that have sent me a password that isn't valid, just checking your passwords and kind of knowing your systems that you already have in place before you start working with a VA, so you can come to them and say, okay, here's my website. It's on WordPress. This is my admin login. This is my admin password, and having that prepared as you go in. Truthfully, the best thing that you're going to be able to do for your virtual assistant is to follow the golden rule. You're going to want to treat them the way that you want to be treated. Once you have a good VA, you can celebrate, because a good VA can be hard to find. So getting connected with the right person, going through the interview process to find that right person, this testing process, and then actually getting connected in with that person. Once you get there, it's time to celebrate. And once you're able to build that relationship and really have that reliability and help and assistance of a VA, it's great. I have a VA. I have to give a shout out to Jackie. She saves my life. Jackie doesn't do any of my client work, but in her VA-dom for me, she takes care of everything of my email that comes in project-wise from clients. She schedules my day for me. So when I come into work at 6, 7, 8 in the morning, she has a great little schedule already put out for me. At 7 o'clock, you need to do this. At 9 o'clock, you have a call. You have a copywriting project that's due tomorrow that you need to do between 11 and 12. She even goes as far to make sure that she puts in that I should have lunch with my husband. She knows that I like to garden, so if I have a 15-minute block of time in the afternoon, she'll put in for me to go and garden. And she even does things that prepare me personally. Like the other day was my uncle's birthday, and she reminded me a couple days ahead of time that I needed to go put his birthday card in the mail so it got to him in time. And without her, I'd be lost. So we're kind of in that celebratory mode where I have a great VA, and she's very helpful to my cause. So once you get to that place with someone, you'll understand more of what I'm talking about. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment and come back with you and see if anyone has any questions, and open it up for questions for a moment. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Jenna. If you have any questions, you can feel free to unmute yourself or put them down in the chat, which is down here. Oh, you're welcome, Deb. I'm happy you liked it. Okay, well, if anybody doesn't have any questions, then I'm going to go ahead and close for now. Oh, thank you, Nancy. I appreciate you. It's nice to see your face. All right, well, if anybody doesn't have any other questions, then I'm going to get ready to close for now. I want to thank you, everyone, for being here. Feedback is always so incredibly helpful, so if you have any feedback, please feel free to email contact@juliewalkcoaching.com. We'll be here for summer school next Tuesday as well, where we have another awesome presenter for you. The recording of this class will be up later on the Stress Free System Summer School page, and you'll also get an email with it. So I hope to see everybody next week, and everybody have an awesome rest of your day. Bye.